Members of Sudanese Armed Forces celebrated the recapture of the presidential palace in downtown Khartoum on March 24th, days after the army announced the takeover of the palace in what would be a major gain in the two-year-old conflict with a rival armed group that has threatened to partition the country. The army had long been on the back foot but has recently made gains and has retaken territory from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in the center of the country. Here is a report from Khartoum. The Sudanese Armed Forces lost control of the capital early in the war and have been fighting for 2 years to recapture it from the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Now they have retaken the presidential palace and believe they are on course to win back the rest of the capital. But they are a long way from winning the war. The complex, which includes the historic Republican Palace, is a symbol of power and sovereignty, important for the military-led government and its narrative as legitimate rulers fighting a terrorist militia. This is also a strategic victory.
Our forces, thanks to God, completely destroyed the enemy's personnel and equipment and seized large quantities of their weapons and equipment. We dedicate these victories to our patient people and we affirm our progress on all fronts of combat until victory is complete by purifying our entire country from the filth of the militia and its supporters. We wish paradise and eternity for our righteous martyrs, a speedy recovery for the wounded and injured, victory from God, and an imminent conquest.
After clearing outer district of Greater Khartoum, the army has taken much of the city center, pushing the RSF fighters out of key sites like government buildings and away from the military's general headquarters. This means the RSF has in effect lost its control of the capital, even though its fighters are still present in Khartoum. But it is not clear how far the front line has moved. RSF fighters are still scattered around the city center and stationed in parts of the airport. They also occupy territory to the south of the palace.
In the blessed month of Ramadan, our forces is making steady progress to complete the liberation of Sudan. There will be no negotiations until these people are no more. They find a place to go to, hand over their weapons, and people pardon them. But as long they carry weapons, occupy our homes, fight for El Fasher, and occupy the areas of peaceful citizens, harm them with mortars and drones on a daily basis, and terrorize people, there will be no talk or peace with them.
Bloody fighting is expected to continue as the army tries to corner remaining RSF units. The paramilitary force has already shown it can strike back despite its weakened position, launching a drone attack at the palace that killed a number of Sudanese journalists and army officers. A full army victory in the capital could reset the direction of the war or harden the territorial division that divides the country between the two foes. The RSF, led by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as Hemeti, controls most of the Darfur region in western Sudan and parts of the south. The military-backed government, led by Army Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, controls eastern and northern Sudan. The two men worked together and carried out a coup together before a power struggle between them exploded into a civil war in April 2023. Full control of Khartoum could help the army complete its takeover of central Sudan, where it has wrested back territory from the RSF in recent months. It may also create momentum for the army to challenge General Hemeti in his stronghold of Darfur, especially over the city of El Fasher, which has been under RSF siege for nearly a year. But many observers believe there is a danger that Sudan will drift into a de facto partition, with the two warring parties and their backers entrenching themselves in their zones of influence. The RSF is working to set up a parallel government in areas it controls, gathering allied groups to sign a political charter and constitution last month in Nairobi. Its intention was to show that despite battlefield setbacks, it remains a potent force and that its desire to take control of the country remains undimmed. Sudanese have borne the brunt of this brutal civil war, which has inflicted massive death, destruction and human rights violations on civilians. The United Nations has described the situation in the country as the world's worst humanitarian crisis. More than 12 million people have been forced to flee their homes and millions face acute food shortages, with parts of the country driven into famine. Khartoum is one of the places expected to reach famine conditions soon, having been subjected to widespread looting from RSF soldiers and restrictions on aid by the Sudanese government. So a change of power in the city could make a big difference to humanitarian conditions there. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.